In 1983, the EPA listed the Thea Foss Waterway and Greater Commencement Bay as a Superfund site. This was due to increased industry in the area on the waterfront and by the train tracks. For many years, the bay was viewed as a dump site, where industrial waste and sewage alike were poured into the water. In an effort to preserve the waterway for recreation and biodiversity, the city of Tacoma spearheaded a cleanup effort in 1994. Contaminated sediment was dredged from the waterway, new mechanisms of disposal were constructed, and restoration sites began to pop up along the waterway. In 2006, after years of cleanup occurred, the Thea Foss Waterway was taken off the EPA Superfund site. Now this waterway serves as a bustling port and fosters recreation for the broader Tacoma community. Keeping the waterway clean is an ongoing and tedious effort.
The state of Commencement Bay and the Thea Foss Waterway 30 years ago is significantly different than the state it's in now. There was a concerted effort to right the wrongs of very polluting industries in the area.
I think it was put on so many lists of being the dirtiest that someone was going to have to do something. So I would like to hope that it wouldn't be what it was in the 70s, but I think it's nice that we're here to, be the watchdog on the water, and to constantly be checking. We're the only, nonprofit in the area that is dedicated to the water.
So I'm Ayla Yanakaitis. I am the communications director for CHB.
I'm Logan Danzig, he, him. I am the policy manager for Communities for a Healthy Bay.
And I'm Sophie Engel. I have been here 1 week. I am the community engagement coordinator. And before starting here, I've just been down the street at the Museum of Glass.
My name is Stephanie Stockwell, boat operator and a staff attorney. I just graduated law school, so this is my first legal position. I did law school in Florida, but before that I was a teacher, so change of careers. Here I am. But yeah, this work is really fun and exciting, and yeah.
So as an organization, our overall mission is obviously is focused on the cleanup of Commencement Bay, the Thea Foss Waterway, and the South Sound as a whole. And that's both from a contaminated sites and kind of historical pollution cleanup, but also the day-to-day pollution that we see now.
Despite past cleanup efforts, continued cleanup of Commencement Bay and the Thea Foss Waterway remains essential. When the port was first being built in 1920, docks and pilings were made with creosote, which we now know has been labeled a carcinogen by the EPA. Continued cleanup on the waterway aims to address removing and replacing pilings like this one, as well as tires and bumpers on boats and docks, because they contain 6 ppd, which we now know to be detrimental to marine life. Communities for a Healthy Bay works closely with Tacoma residents and agencies to hold industries accountable through bay patrols and legal action.
Yeah, I was telling them a lot about the tire reefs and the creosote pilings and how, on the water, it all feels unsolvable because all these buildings are held up. We're currently sitting on the creosote pilings. And so it's just crazy long road we have ahead of us.
A lot of the port is sinking. I mean, it's sludge in a lot of places because it was built up out of
Fill.
So all of this pier, right, a lot of it's landfill, and they took the soil from a Sarco and landfilled it at the port. And so what that essentially did was all that soil that is so toxic, it's full of arsenic, lead, you name it, it's in that soil. There's people that can't even, have a garden within 5 miles of the Sarco site. All that soil is now here. And so now you have not only the industrial corridor, you're also having it sit on top of all of that smelter used soil. And so that's what we didn't know then, we know now. And, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna make it better?
It's taken us, this is our 35th year. It's taken us 35 years to get to the point that we are at, and to see the cleanup and the accountability that we have seen. And there's still just as much, if not more, that needs to happen. So to kind of think about, if we weren't here, 10 years from now, you probably wouldn't be able to swim and fish in these waterways. Reporting comes from the community. Like, they know that they can rely on us to be an ambassador for them and a voice for them in a way that they may not be able to otherwise.
So we are kind of like that middleman to get the message to the correct departments. A lot of our reporting does go to the city of Tacoma. We really depend on those agencies to supply data to do our research. We're constantly in the Ecology's database trying to figure out, there's a lot of mandatory reporting for the facilities around the port. So, if they have a permit, they have to report publicly. And that goes through the Ecology database system, which is really helpful for us to know, which facilities are polluting the most. I think lawsuits are, hopefully the last thing on the line. Like, we don't want to sue everybody, but if they're not going to listen to policy, not going to listen to regulations, and they're just going to keep violating, then that at least gives like a hammer. Like, we're not kidding. We need this fixed.
Communities for a Healthy Bay does consistent patrols and analyzes public data in order to hold industries accountable to environmental regulations and take legal action when needed. They engage local residents and help connect citizens' concerns with the agencies responsible. As the only nonprofit whose sole mission is to protect Commencement Bay and the surrounding waters, CHB is necessary to ensure that we continue to hold our waterways to standards that ensure the health and vitality of humans and animals alike for generations to come.
I am hopeful that Commencement Bay and Thea Foss and the South Sound as a whole, the ecosystems are improving. Looking at the species that have come back to this waterway has been incredible to see in the last 20 years.
If you think that this was once one of the most polluted waterways in the whole country to now this, I think it is hopeful that there's changes possible.
Because instead of saying equal coliform high, they were like, this is the poopiest.
Yeah, they were very blunt.
How to use that? Gross.